What if one conversation could connect you to the right resource at the right time? Let's talk. Welcome to Heart with Christine Matus.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on our Heart to Heart series. For everyone who may not be familiar with this is a series where I love to interview people I really think you should know, you should like, and you should be comfortable and trusting. So oftentimes I come across people that I think, oh my gosh, families should get to know them. But here is something that is very exciting. I am so excited to have today Ellen Nalven. She was the executive director of Plan NJ. She is now recently retired. She's a senior advisor. And let me just tell you a little bit about this wonderful woman, her background, and then we're going to talk about this amazing organization that many of the families that we help, many of the families that we've come across have mentioned, and it made enough of an impact on me to say, oh my gosh, I would love to see what we could do to really find out more of why they do what they do, why they've been around for such a long time, and why I am having a hard time finding any other organization like it because it's interesting. So, Ellen, she is currently with Plan NJ Senior Advisor, but she was the executive director, everyone. It is the only statewide nonprofit organization to offer a full range of life planning and lifetime support services for those with disabilities. She educates families about the importance of life planning to promote independent life and the quality of life for individuals with disabilities. And it oversees the delivery of case management, advocacy, and life planning services for more than 700 people. And probably that number is even conservative. Ellen has a dual Master of Education and Postmaster's Certificate in Psychiatric Rehabilitation from Rutgers University and teaches individuals with disabilities and people who are deaf and hard of hearing. She has won several awards, including the National Rebecca McDonald Leadership Award, amazing, and is a member of the Board of Directors of the National Plan Alliance, or probably was a member. I don't know if she's currently there, but this is just the tip of the iceberg of the quality of people with Plan NJ, but of this person, Ellen, who's made such a difference in so many people's lives and who's really elevated Plan NJ to the type of organization that everyone aspires to be and to work with. Ellen, thank you so much for being here and spending this time with me. Thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for the honor of talking with you today.
I'm so excited. We were chatting before we started, everyone, and what I was so happy about is that Ellen was able to spend some time today because, Plan NJ is a organization that's near and dear to my heart. As everyone knows, part of my practice is serving families with disabilities, and a lot of it stems from me personally. I have two children, and my youngest born with Down syndrome and autism. So as a result, I'm trying to do what I can to help other families like me. And when I do that, I start to look at resources. What do I need? What will they need? And time again, Ellen, Plan NJ always comes up as this amazing resource for families, especially those who may not have the support system currently or who are worried about a support system in the future where they may not be around. So, Ellen, I mean, I guess it's such an open question, but I would love to know what made you focus in this area, this industry. I'm fascinated.
I have really my entire career devoted myself, been focused on helping people who are disadvantaged, who need a leg up, and have worked since high school, honestly, with people with disabilities and aspired to be a special education teacher. And while I did that for a very short period of time, decided that I really wanted to go into a more functional um, uh, career. And I wound up spending much of my career in supported employment because what I saw is that when people with disabilities are employed, just as, as critical as that is for our for everyone else, not only do we need money, but we need the connection and purpose in life. We need to know that we are valued, that what we do contributes to others. And so when I wound up, really getting involved in a field that's called supported employment, I found that even people with the most significant challenges, we can find gifts and talents that they can contribute to employers. And I was so struck, and still, I carried that through. We employ people with disabilities at Plan New Jersey, and even the people, we will talk about all the things that we do. We serve as trustee of special needs trusts, and we're legal guardian for people. We do a lot of advocacy and case management services. And so some of the folks that work with us are accountants, they're bookkeepers, they're not necessarily, many of our folks are experts with disabilities, but we have some that, we're using their expertise in their specific field. And it's so heartwarming and wonderful to see them develop connections with one or two of our employees who have disabilities. And they realize, oh, okay, we are all, you know, we are all, our lives are enhanced
Exactly.
by meeting people who are different than us, interacting with people that are different, that have some limitations, but also some gifts that we may not even share. So it has really been an inspiring career, and it was kind of wonderful to transition from supported employment. It was kind of a natural transition for me because in helping people get jobs, my goal was to get people off of public benefits and to work with to help them not necessarily have, maybe they didn't need a guardian, or maybe they had a guardian and we had to negotiate with that guardian to allow them to go to work.
Yeah.
So I sort of moved in when I joined Plan New Jersey more than 20 years ago.
Oh my gosh. I was going to ask you how long, so you were with Plan NJ for 20 years?
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
don't hear that often, right?
yeah, yeah.
People have to move on in certain things in certain employments. But when you hear that longevity, that says something about you, and that says something about Plan NJ for sure.
Well, thank you. And honestly, the person that took my place has also been there for 19 years.
Yeah, you said
And we have
Miller, right?
many.
You mentioned Jason, right? Oh,
Jason Miller. Jason Miller is our executive director, and he has done a phenomenal job. You were talking earlier about how families rely. This is a promise we make to families. These are, very crucial relationships that we have, that are really long. These are lifelong in many cases. Not always, not for everyone, not all families, not all individuals need lifelong support. So we do, for example, serve as trustee of special needs trusts. And for some people, as long as the trust lasts, we're involved. But for other people, we're actually legal guardian
yeah.
for 40 people. And,
That is huge, because to find an organization that will offer those services is one thing, Ellen, but to have an organization that offers those services for as long as you've been doing it and doing it as well as you've been doing it, that's it's almost like you're a unicorn, because I really, again, oftentimes, we've asked families, who's going to help you, who's going to be, a successor trustee, who's going to be a co-guardian or who's going to take over, God forbid something happens to you. And when they don't have anyone, we always suggest Plan NJ. And then they ask us sometimes, Alan, well, is there anyone else? And I said, maybe, I'm sure there are. But for us to recommend someone, an organization, especially with this type of role, it's a big deal. And sometimes we rather not than if we don't know anyone or we don't know anyone well enough, then if we don't recommend, doesn't mean we don't stand by them, but it's just that uh, I would recommend they do their own research, but at least with Plan NJ, I mean, we've dealt with your organization for such a long time and we've always seen the consistency. So anyway, I just think that, again, finding the combination of skills and the passion you all have is it's so unique. It really is, and it's just so wonderful. When you have been in this position, I guess you've seen so many changes, Ellen, in the 20 years. Can you maybe name just some of the good changes that have happened? I know there's, other changes, but was there anything that stick out in your mind of things that when you started and now when you've retired that, oh, this is how it was, but thank God it's changed or got better? If there's anything that you could maybe show, I'd love to hear it.
Sure, sure. In fact, I have to say that we've had significant changes. And I'm so proud and honored to be able to talk about them because when I started at Plan New Jersey, we were a very tiny organization. And there were a number of reasons for our growth. So back then, we were serving 70 individuals, and now we're serving really nearly 1,000.
Gosh.
And there are a number, there are a number of reasons I think for that growth. And one of them is that when we were founded by a woman named Elizabeth Boggs, very, very famous woman who, marvelous advocate who really was instrumental in establishing, getting Congress to approve the supplemental security income laws. And um, One of the things that our founders wanted was that we would be focused primarily on people with developmental and intellectual disabilities. And over time, family members of people with mental health challenges came to us and said, "We need your services." And families of people with traumatic brain injury came to us and said, "We need your services." Because, as you know, Christine, from personal experience, disability is completely individual.
Mhm.
Everyone has different strengths and different support needs, every single person. And so that, expanding and opening our doors to really anyone, any person with a disability that needs us has made a huge difference. So we have grown tremendously. And I'm really happy to say that we're, extremely stable and in a position where I think we're going to be scaling the organization because the need is really also quite dramatic.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear the growth that you've had. And yet, you do see that, oh, the need is it's so important. It's so, you see it. And I bet if you could, you'd grow even bigger. But, everything takes time, everything takes money, everything.
Yes.
And again, though, the idea that you're meeting the needs, you're trying to, grow because the needs keep growing as
Yeah.
well. Uh, you know, share with me, Ellen. I was curious, you know, you and I have chatted. There are other organizations that are out there, but can you tell me, perhaps in your words, what makes Plan NJ different from others? And also, what are the things that families should be looking at if they, look like they need help, they do need support, they need a trustee, they need a guardian, and things like that. I mean, I think these would be important tips that they should be aware of.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, there are a few organizations that do what we do. SCARC Guardianship Service up in Sussex County, Sussex County ARC, and also Bergen County ARC. One of the things, as I mentioned, is that they, I believe, may restrict their services to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. But it is important to reach out as much as possible to, other organizations to understand, what you think might meet the needs of your own children best. Um, so one of the things that I think distinguishes Plan New Jersey is the fact that we were established by families And we are led by families. So our board of directors is more than 50% family members of people with disabilities.
That's wonderful.
And they are also experts in their various fields.
Hmm.
So part of the challenge, of course, with doing what we do is we have a legal obligation as trustees of special needs trusts, for over 700 people, legal guardian for about 40 people. And then we have a social services responsibility in terms of advocacy and a service that we call home visit monitoring.
I love
And
that.
it's just that. We are visiting people in their homes where they live so that we can help to really notice. We know that Sally wears glasses. Where are those glasses? The group home or supervised apartment mentioned that they're going to be taking her to a doctor. Let us see that medical report. Let us go with, if you want, the family might ask us to go with that person. So I think that part of the reason that we are so successful is that we underst our founders understood and wrote in our bylaws, and we are governed by a law, the New Jersey Community Trust Act, that really enables us as disability experts. We are nonprofit. And so our focus is the mission of the organization. And the mission is to help families answer the question, who will care for my loved one when I'm gone?
I love
So,
this. I love this. Families being led by families, helping families. I mean, it's fantastic.
yeah, yeah. And at the same time, it's a very crucial fiduciary role. So, you know, the members of our board, and we have experts also on certain committees. So, as trustee of Special Needs Trust, this is a legal and fiduciary role. It's a huge responsibility. And so we have to really know our stuff, which we really do because I mean, our director of trust services has been there. Actually, she was there before me. So,
Love it.
fortunately,
Love it.
she's younger than me.
But it's
So, yeah. So we do have a lot of longevity with our staff, and that's something that we value. We know that if we treat our staff well, they're going to treat our clients well. That's part of that perspective. And then the expertise of our board, they are family members, but they are also accountants. We have a few attorneys on our board. We have social workers. We've got several nurses and a doctor that is in an advisory capacity, because being legal guardian and doing the advocacy and case management that we do, it's as big as life. It's everything. It could be anything in a person's life that might show up. It could be how to access the Division of Developmental Disabilities, or, oh my gosh, I got a, my Medicaid, I've lost my Medicaid eligibility. Well, so we have to know how to manage that and help assist with those. Um,
yeah,
and then so um, that expertise that our board members have, the board is very involved in our organization, meaning we keep them well informed of our challenges confidentially. They don't know the names of our people,
for
but
sure.
they do know, well, we're having this challenge with this nursing home or with this state agency or with this group home. And we get really great advice because our board members have such depth of knowledge and expertise.
You know what you've reminded me too, Ellen, is, it's not just having an organization that can step in to be a guardian or a trustee, but it's also being able to make sure they are well versed in that maze of the public benefits. I mean,
Yeah,
it is a beast. And I can share with you that, oftentimes we get frantic calls from families that they get a letter, benefits terminated, benefits being reviewed, benefits being audited. It's very upsetting. And now you're down this rabbit hole of so many different things. And we've always said that, if you want to take on that role as trustee, we do have to get you acclimated and comfortable with rules because it's, I don't want to intimidate families. It's a lot and you can learn it. But it
Yeah.
is nice to know that there are organizations that they will do the heavy lifting. They have the history, they have the background, and that it's not bad to team up. Many
Yeah.
times, right? We've seen family members saying, well, I have another child. Can they be involved somehow that Plan and J can be the trustee, but they want to still be, and I love that, so that there's the familiarity, things like that. But yet, when it comes to the complicated, like, oh, what do we do with this kind of letter from SSI? At least there's people they can turn to instead of them trying to wing it on their own. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
Ellen, right? It's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's so complicated. And unfortunately, the consequences can be great. You can, if you make a mistake as a trustee, you can cause somebody to lose benefits.
100%.
So yeah, one of the things that we really enjoy and appreciate, Christine, is our relationship with you and other attorneys like you, because we are not attorneys, and we're always saying that to people. We are not giving you legal advice,
Right.
but we do have a lot of experience that can help people to formulate their questions and know when they need to go to an expert attorney and when we might read a letter and say, oh, well, they're just asking you for this piece of paper, so send them that piece of paper. Or
Absolutely.
when we have to say, look, it is worth it to you.
Yeah,
Go and get the expert guidance that you need.
it's
It
true.
is interesting, as we have developed our experience and skills, one of the things that families come to us, well, they come to us for life planning, and that is really not necessarily, we are recording the legal part. Your job is the legal planning, and we're writing down what they have, what plans they've made. And as we ask questions, sometimes they'll say, oh, let me go to my attorney. But one of the things we sometimes find is that families will say, oh, yeah, no problem. My family attorney says they can write that special needs trust. And that really worries us. And we share that with them because, like you said, if there, it's a very specific um, document that needs to be written in a particular way. And if it is not, it can be really problematic for the future
100%.
of the eligibility, the benefits.
I do think sometimes, right, Ellen, when you don't know what you don't know causes
Yeah.
more issues. And I've seen it in different forums. I've seen it, among other attorneys who I wouldn't say dabble in special needs planning, but they'll mention like, I think I'm going to be able to, and I tell them, listen, I'm happy to help. Don't even put my name, but let me take a look at it because like you said, the consequences are devastating. You don't
Yeah.
have the right thing. And sometimes consequences that could have been avoided,
Yeah.
So you're right. And I think it's almost like, when we think of doctors, you're going to go to the neurologist for neurological issues. You're going to go to the dermatologist
Yeah.
for you're not going to switch. You're not going to go to the dermatologist and say, can you check my heart as well? And they
Yeah.
wouldn't do it either.
Yeah.
So, but it is something that sometimes you feel that I would think a lawyer's a lawyer, they can do it all, but there's specialties, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But no, I love that. So I was
Yeah.
curious, Ellen, if you had someone who was aspiring to be in your industry, to work, say, with your organization, what would be some good advice for a young person who might say, like, I feel like I have that calling. I have an affinity to helping those, like you said, that are somewhat could be viewed as a disadvantage and who, you'd love to step in and help. Is there some words of wisdom you'd like to share with some young people who might be looking into this industry?
I love to inspire young people to consider this. And one of the things that's really enjoyable, and I think it is, again, it is part of the reason that we have such longevity on our staff, is is that it's such a fascinating field and there's so much to learn. So we have some people who are really social workers. They are working day to day with people with disabilities, visiting them in their home. And when they get a lot of experience in the social services field, people that have worked, in supervised apartments or group homes or day programs or supported employment, um, then they might even eventually become one of our life plan writers, where we're working with families to think about not think about the individual that they love, their loved one, from the perspective of the person's needs, their likes, their dislikes, their what makes them happy, what makes them comfortable, if they're upset, what calms them down. Sometimes families will say, oh, they love movies. Well, it's important to know what movies, what genres. Do you got a favorite actor? Of it, we need to get really specific when we do life planning.
Oh, I love this, because you're making me think of my own daughter. So, people will say, "Well, what does she like to do?" And she does love dolls, but
Mm.
there's only two types of dolls she likes. I'll share with you. It has to be Anna or Elsa from Frozen. That's it. And if I'm not specific, people are they hype her up. They like, "Oh, we got a doll for you," and they open up and it's something else. She's okay with it. She's like, "Oh," and then she just puts it aside. And so you're right. Getting granular is important, you know?
Yeah, that's a perfect example. These life plans that really talk about the specifics are so critical. We had a woman that we support, who unfortunately she's passed away, but she lived in a supervised apartment, and so she lived in her own apartment, and it was a complex, so the one of the apartments was the supervisor's apartment. And one of the things that would happen was that when there was a thunderstorm, she would keep running to that supervised apartment. And they were trying to encourage her to be independent and not to, rely on the supervisors. And then so they were really kind of pushing her back and pushing her back. And when our service coordinator got involved, they realized, wait a second, she's frightened.
Right.
And, because we had information in the life plan that said she is scared of thunderstorms, don't push her away, bring her in, welcome her,
There you
you
go.
know, watch her favorite TV show with her, give her this, she used to love to check the weather. Let her check the weather and see, oh, it's going to pass soon.
I love that.
So a lot of that's where the personal information is so critical. Like you said, not just any doll,
Right.
Elsa or Anna.
Yeah. Because I mean, and I caught myself because people would say, like, "Oh, what can I get her?" I thought she loves dolls. And then when I say, it's like, "Oh, shoot." And she's all excited. And then she's looking at me like, "So where is my gift?" I'm like, "Well, that was it. I'm so sorry." He's just like, oh, okay. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
oh, listen, I can't believe the time went by already, Ellen. This was fantastic. I feel like there's so much more I want to know, but I hope everyone that, with this little segment that you hear about how wonderful Plan NJ is and how wonderful Ellen is. And she is just a part of all the people who make up this wonderful organization, and knowing her passion, her background, her expertise, and they're all like Ellen. I mean, they have the passion. They do know what they're doing. They've been here for such a long time. And again, more reason why I just love this organization. And I'm so happy, Ellen, that you were able to share this. Can you share, we'll put it in the information in the podcast, but if you can share how people can get in touch with Plan NJ, where you're located and things like that.
Sure. Yeah, we are in Greenbrook, New Jersey, but we serve the whole state of New Jersey. You can send a message to us from our website. You can call us at 908-575-8300. We are happy to, families call us all the time, and they may not even know exactly where to start, or maybe they're thinking somebody has said, you should get guardianship, and maybe they're not so sure they want guardianship. So they can call and they can brainstorm with us. And, they've heard about the importance of special needs trusts, and maybe they want some advice on, gee, I'm thinking about having her sibling as a trustee. So people are welcome to call us and just brainstorm on where to start, and you know so
That's
again,
wonderful.
contact us through the website, give us a call, and we're happy to schedule a time to talk with you and help you kind of figure out which direction to go in first.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ellen. And everyone, I hope you received some great information. I know you'll be checking them out and getting more information. Ellen, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Everybody, thanks for listening, and stay tuned again for some more episodes on our Heart to Heart podcast. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. Take care
Take
now.
care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching. For more info, go to matuslaw.com.